guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. I hope that you guys are all doing well. So as you can tell by the title, today's video is going to be a kind of chit chat get ready with me situation. I am about to pre-film a couple of videos, so I figured instead of just doing my makeup real quick off camera, I would sit and show you guys how I do my makeup when I get ready to film, and also share a couple of the products that I had in my everyday makeup stash for the month and let you guys know a little update on how they performed, if I liked them or not, how they were on the face throughout the day, and all of that good stuff. So that's what I'm going to be doing in today's video. Before we get started, if you are new, my name is Fayy Lenee. Welcome to my channel. Definitely be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy, and subscribe down below to become part of my fam here on YouTube. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. Alright, so I'm planning to do pretty much like an everyday slay, like, you know, quick little, nothing too much, just a pretty quick, easy 30-minute slay. That's what we're doing today. So the very first product that I'm going to go in with is from Fenty. This is my Fenty Pro Filt'r Instant Retouch Primer. I always go in with this product first just because I find that anytime I apply this to my face, my makeup just tends to last longer. So I like to go in with this, and I pretty much just apply it like a moisturizer. Even though I did already moisturize my face before I sat down to film, I still like to go in with this because I just feel like it kind of starts the smoothing process of my skin and just gives me a nice, soft, semi-matte kind of filtered look. Next up, I'm going in with this primer from ColourPop. This is their All-Star Matte and Blur Primer. And I honestly hadn't really used this primer since I bought it when it first launched. So that's why I wanted to go ahead and put it in my stash for the month. And I have been enjoying it. When I first bought it, I don't remember liking it that much, but coming back to it this month, I actually do really like it. It does a good job of just kind of smoothing out your skin, smoothing out your texture, smoothing out your pores. And then it's also a mattifying primer at the same time, which is nice. It's a 2-in-1. So just going to press this into my skin, especially into my pores. And I'm really focusing this on my T-zone area because that's going to be the area that I tend to get the most oily. My skin in general is just oily, but I tend to get the most oily in this area. So I'm really going to make sure that I work it in really well. So next up, I pulled out one of my old favorites for the month, the NYX Dark Circle Concealer. If you are an OG of my channel, you probably remember that I used to use this every single video, every single day, just in my regular life, but I would always use this in my videos. So I have been using this month as well and trying to get through it. As you can see, I've made quite a decent dent in it. But I'm just going to take a little concealer brush. This one is from Sigma. It's the F75 concealer brush. And I'm just going to apply this in a couple of different areas. I'm going to do a little bit under my eye. And then I'm also going to do some on some of these dark spots that I have on my face and just blemishes to kind of do a little bit of color correcting before we go in with foundation. And I'm just really focusing this on like my darkest areas because as you can see, I have some discoloration here, but I'm not really going to worry too much about that. And then I'm just going to go in and kind of tap it out with my finger. I'm not picking up too much of the product because of course the whole point of this is to do a little bit of color correction, so I don't want to move it around too much, but I do want to kind of blend it in a little bit. And then before I go in with my foundation, I'm just going to lightly set this. I'm going to use my Rimmel Stay Matte Powder. This one is in the shade Sandstorm. And I just want to kind of lightly go over this just to keep it from moving once I go in with my foundation. Because I don't want this to mix with my foundation. I want this to pretty much just stay right where I put it. So I'm just lightly tapping over the areas, applying a very light layer of powder. I'm not really going to do much underneath my eyes because I am going to go in with a concealer there, obviously. But on the rest of my face, I do want to just lightly set those spots in place. So next up for foundation, I'm going in with this one from Morphe. My two foundations for the month were the Morphe Fluidity Full Coverage Foundation, which I have mine in the shade F3.70. And then also my Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation, which I picked up in a new shade during the VIB sale. I got the shade 4W2 Toasty Toffee. I've really been loving this. You guys have seen me use this one before, but I don't think I've ever used this one on camera. So we are going to go in with this one today. And pretty much the same deal. I'm just going to apply it with a concealer brush and then blend it out. And to blend it out, I'm going to be using my Sigma F84 angled kabuki brush. One of the things I really love about this foundation is how full coverage it is. A little bit of this really goes a long way. And you can see it just like completely covered the dark spots that I have, which of course I did go in and do a little bit of color correction, but I don't always have time to color correct. So there's plenty of times during the week when I use this foundation or have used this foundation when I'm getting ready for work. And I don't always go in and color correct, and it still gives me really bomb coverage. And then I'm also going to go in with my beauty sponge. This one is actually from e.l.f. And I'm just going to kind of press over everything and just make sure that everything is really pressed into the skin. And also pick up any extra product that may just be laying on top of the skin that we don't need, obviously. So just pouncing that all over. So next up is concealer, and I'm going to use the Tarte Shape Tape. I know this is one that pretty much all of you guys have probably heard of before, and you either like it or love it or have opted out from trying it. Either way, I have mine in the shade medium, and I mentioned to you guys in my everyday makeup stash video that I'm trying to use this up so that I can get rid of it. So I have really been like on a mission to get through this bottle. So I'm going to go ahead and use it today as my concealer. And then one thing that I do like to do after I blend out the concealer on my forehead is go back in with that Rimmel powder and just lightly set that area so that when I start making all the crazy faces to blend out underneath my eyes, my forehead will not crease. So I just am gonna lightly tap over that area just to set it in place. So next up, I'm going to go ahead and set the rest of my face. I'm going to be using my Laura Mercier Translucent Loose Setting Powder, which used to be one of my holy grails. I've gone back to it this month, and it is still one of my favorites. It's a really, really good setting powder, and they did come out, I think, last year with a deeper shade. So if you do have a deeper complexion and you want a slightly tinted translucent setting powder, I would recommend trying out the dark shade that they have. It's a little too dark. It's a lot too dark actually for me to set under my eyes. So I never ended up purchasing it just because I have so many other powders that I could use to set my face, which is what that one would probably be good for because it is so dark. But if you are deeper, it would probably work really, really well for you. So I'm going to go in with another e.l.f. sponge, and both of my sponges are damp, by the way. And I'm going to use this sponge to go ahead and bake my face. And even though I did already set my forehead, I'm still going to go back in and add a little bit more powder up there to bake. So while I let this hang out on my face, I'm going to go ahead and fill in my eyebrows, and then I will be right back. So I went ahead and filled in my brows. As you can see, I feel like my brows are one of the things that literally take the most time because I'm so particular. I can sit forever just perfecting my brows, but this is the best they're gonna get for today. So now I'm gonna go in with this Morphe E3 brush, and I'm just gonna dust off the extra powder on my face. And then next I'm going in with one of my new Holy Grail favorite products. This is the CoverGirl Full Spectrum Matte Ambition Powder. I have mine in the shade Medium Tan Neutral. I received this in PR at the beginning of the year, I think maybe in like January, and I literally have not been able to put this down since I got it. I'm using my Morphe E1 powder brush, which is just a really big, dense brush. And I'm just going to press this into the skin everywhere that I did not apply the Laura Mercier powder, just to bring a little bit of color back into my skin and also just set the rest of the areas that I didn't bake. But yes, this powder is so bomb. It matches my face perfectly, like my neck, face to neck ratio situation. It matches really, really good, and it just blends into the skin so nicely. It's not super powdery, and it just sets my makeup so well. I literally have not been able to use any other powder since I've gotten this one. I keep trying to like switch in and work in or rotate in other powders for my everyday makeup stash, but I keep going back to this one, and it's CoverGirl, so you know it's affordable. So if you haven't tried it, highly recommend. Their full spectrum line is meant for like women of color, multicultural women. So they do have shades for all skin tones and all complexions, but it is geared more towards women of color. And they did it with this powder. Like, this is easily one of my absolute favorite things from the line. It's the only thing that I've been using nonstop. So next up is bronzer, and you guys know I only pulled out one bronzer this month, and it is the Fenty bronzer. This is the Sunstalker bronzer, and I have mine in the shade Caramel Cutie, which looks like this. I did do a whole review on this bronzer when I originally purchased it, as well as the other new products that came out when the bronzer launched. So I will link that for you guys if you're interested in checking it out, or if you haven't seen it and you want more information, like a more in-depth review on the bronzer. But I'm going to be using my Morphe M104 brush. It's just a small little angled brush that works really well for contour. And I'm just going to apply this in the hollows of my cheeks, on my temples, you know, all the regular places that you bronze. And then next up is blush. I'm going to be using this one from Laura Geller. I had this one and one of the Wet n Wild Color Icon blushes. I did kind of swap back and forth between the two, but I decided to pull this one out because I figured a lot of you guys have probably seen the Wet n Wild blush, and you may not have seen this one. So this is the Blush and Brighten blush, and this one is in the shade Tropic Hues. It looks like this. And I got this in a BoxyCharm. How beautiful is this blush? And it just gives you a really nice kind of flush to the cheeks, but it also gives you a little bit of a sheen as well. It's so beautiful. So this next step is optional, but I'm just going to show you on the days when you have a little bit of extra time, or if you are somebody that likes to put shadow on your eyes. I typically would just leave my eyes as they are, but sometimes I do like to go in and just add a little bit of a natural shadow in my crease and along my lower lash line. So I'm going to go back into my Fenty bronzer, and I'm just going to dip in this brush. You can use any fluffy blending brush that you have. The one that I have is the Morphe E22, and I'm just going to buff this back and forth into the crease. And I'm also going to bring it right up to like close to the inner portion of my brow, and then sweep it right along the side of my nose and almost connect it with my contour that I have going right here. So it's just going to give an overall natural kind of shadow to the eye, like a very natural contour really is what I'm doing in the hollows that are already naturally there. And just kind of connecting it all together to create a little bit of depth and dimension, as opposed to it just being all flat from the highlight and the setting powder. And you see it's not too much, but it does give you just a little something extra happening on the eyes. And then I do like to go in with a little bit of a smaller blending brush. This one is the E18 from Morphe. I'm just going to use this brush to apply the color along my bottom lash line. Okay, so next, before I apply mascara and my highlight, I'm going to go in and set my face. So I'm actually going to use 2 setting sprays. The first one that I'm going to use is this Morphe Continuous Setting Mist. This has become one of my favorite go-to setting sprays because it literally just melts everything on your face together. It accomplishes basically what I feel like everybody says Fix Plus does, but it does it in a continuous light mist that just is heaven in a bottle, honestly. And then after that, I'm going to go in with the CoverGirl Look Lock Up All Day Setting Mist. This one has a light spa cucumber scent to it, which I think is really refreshing. And usually when you're doing your makeup, you're doing it in the morning. So to me, this is just really refreshing to spray all over my face after I finish my makeup in the morning. It just wakes me up. It's refreshing. It's light. Like I said, it has a cucumber scent. I personally love it. So I'm just going to go ahead and set my face with these. So before I finish off my eyes, I'm going to go ahead in with highlighter. And this is the order that I typically do my makeup, like on an everyday basis when I'm getting ready for work. I usually, like I said, don't do the shadow, but this is the order that I think helps my makeup last the longest. So like I said, I'm going in with highlight now. This one is the Flower Beauty Shimmer and Strobe Highlighting Palette. And this one is in the shade Sun Kissed Shimmer. And these highlighters, you guys, I literally hear nobody talk about these, but these highlighters are so good. They're so creamy and buttery and pigmented. It's honestly ridiculous. Like, look at these highlighters. And this is drugstore affordable highlight. These are beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I never use them like individually. I always mix them together and just based on how I'm feeling that day come up with random little concoctions. But lately I have been loving mixing the gold and the bronze. So that's what I'm going to do today. And I'm just using my Anastasia A23 brush. And I literally just did 1 tap in each shade and tapped off the excess. And then I'm just going to, I mean, do y'all see this? Ridiculous. But I'm just going to apply this right on the hollow of my cheek and just kind of follow that natural shape that was created with my blush and bronzer. This highlight is so good, y'all. And also down the center of my nose, of course. And my Cupid's bow. And since I did put a little bit of bronzer on the eyes, I'm going to do a little bit of a pop of highlight on the inner corner as well, mixing the same 2 shades. So next up for lashes, you can honestly just apply mascara and call it a day. That is typically what I would do on an everyday basis. But as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I am going to be filming a couple of extra or additional videos after this one. So I'm going to take it a little step further and apply some lashes. I'm going to be putting on the Allure Times Jasmine Brown Faux Mink Collection Faux Glow lashes. So I'm going to go ahead and pop these on really quick and then I'll be right back to finish up the look. Okay guys, I'm back. I have my lashes on. I also did a little bit of a thin line just to blend my lash band with my lash line. So now I'm going to go ahead and just finish up with the lips and we'll be done with this look. So I did go ahead and line my lips off camera. I used the MAC Cork lip pencil, which is a balm neutral brown lip liner. For those of you guys that are similar to my complexion, or if you are a woman of color, I've even seen people with deeper complexions use this lip liner. It's just a really great everyday lip liner, especially if you are wearing nude shades on your lips, which I will be today. So I'm going to go in with 2 Milani lipsticks. These are the 2 that I had in my stash for the month. I have Matte Beauty in the shade Enchanted Topaz. I'm pretty sure Enchanted Topaz was limited edition and it may not be available anymore, but it's basically just a brown toned nude lipstick, which honestly, there's really not that much special about this shade. It's a brown tone nude, which I'm sure you could find several other options similar to this at the drugstore. I did try to find some more in my collection. I couldn't find any that I felt were close enough that I could recommend to you guys that were drugstore, but I'm sure you guys could find one relatively easily. But Matte Beauty I know is still available. So what I like to do with these two shades is apply Matte Beauty like on the outer parts of my lips and then Enchanted Topaz in the middle. And as you can see, it just gives me this very natural, subtle ombre, but it's not too much. Just a very beautiful kind of My Lips But Better nude lip for every day. And honestly, on an everyday basis, I don't even line my lips. So lining your lips isn't really necessary. But since I have time today, I decided to do a little extra and line my lips. But this is the finished look, everyday glam, a little 30-minute quick you know, get snatched, little 30-minute slay. So I'm gonna go ahead and, you know, comb my hair down and all of that, and then I'm gonna come back and give you guys a quick rundown on my thoughts with some of the products that I had in my stash this month. Alright guys, so I am back and in my final form. Got my hair combed down and threw some hoops on right quick. But yeah, this is how the look came out. Honestly, this is my everyday face. Like, I'm not even joking with you guys. Every single day when I get ready for work, unless I'm running late, then I may skip the foundation and just focus more on concealer. And I usually don't do the bronzer on my eyes. But outside of that, and the lashes, of course, the rest, as far as my base and my lips, is my everyday look that I do when I'm going to work. So I definitely want to share this with you guys using the products that were in my everyday stash for the month. I was actually very pleased with pretty much everything that I had in my stash this month. There wasn't really anything that I had that I did not like, which is definitely a plus because there have been months that I have had things in my stash that I did not like. So in the future, I will be sure to share those with you guys, which is kind of why I wanted to do this video. I want to try to start incorporating like a full face using the products in my stash so that I can give you guys those updates on those products as far as whether or not I like them and how they performed and all of that. But this month was my first time using the Morphe foundation, and honestly, I absolutely love it. It applies to the skin beautifully. It gives you a really nice full but flawless coverage. So if you have been on the fence about trying this one, I definitely recommend. It was not as matte as I thought it was going to be because when the reviews were coming out on this foundation, I feel like everyone was saying how matte it was, and to me, it's not really that matte. Like, I kind of feel like people might have been being a little dramatic about how matte this foundation is, and it may be because I have oily skin, but you guys can like see my skin right now. I don't look overly matte, and I find that this foundation actually does not last as long on me as far as keeping me matte as some of my other foundations do. So it may just be that those reviews that I was watching, like I said, those people had a different skin types, but for me it's nowhere near as matte as I expected it to be. But if you are a similar shade to me, my shade in this foundation is shade 370. I will have it linked down below. Nonetheless, it is a beautiful full coverage flawless finish foundation that I would definitely recommend. Oh, and also too, I forgot to mention on my brows, I did use the Benefit Goof Proof in number 4 and the CoverGirl Ultra Fine Brow Pencil in 705 Rich Brown. These are my everyday brow products. I love both of these. This one is a little bit darker, so I like to use this after I've pretty much filled in my brows to go in and kind of create hair-like strokes within my brow to give it a little bit of dimension. But these two right here are a match made in heaven. And yeah, I mean, everything else, like my Laura Mercier, my CoverGirl, I've mentioned before. Fenty, I did a whole review on, so you guys already know. And the only other products I would mention are the Flower Girl highlight palette. You guys saw the Flower Girl. The Flower Beauty highlighting palette. You guys saw how that applied on the face. Absolutely beautiful. The shades are gorgeous and it is affordable. And then this Laura Geller Baked Blush. I never heard anybody talk about these. I'm sure, hopefully she has more shades, But I mean, I never hear anybody talk about these, like I said, and it's a really beautiful everyday blush that gives you a little bit of radiance, a little bit of a glow on the cheek, but not too much. It's still really natural, but it just makes your cheek area look very healthy and just, you know, glowy and all the things that we want our cheeks to look like for the summertime. So that is all that I have for you guys for this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I know it's a little bit different, and I haven't posted a like just a full chatty makeup tutorial on my channel in a while, but I do want to try to get back to posting more makeup tutorials and more actual teachable videos, teachable tutorials showing you guys how to do everyday looks like this that you can create at home fairly easily, or that you can follow along with me while you're watching to practice and create at home, like I said. So I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you did and you want more videos like this, please give this one a big thumbs up. If you are new and you have not already, please subscribe. I would love to have you as part of my fam. And I think that is all that I have. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon in my next video.